Hello and welcome to the Ultimate Pool Champions League highlight show for Group 11. Cameron Tolley, Karl Boyes, Shaun Storry and Callum Singleton will do battle for a place in the second stage. Let's get straight into our first match then. Shaun Storry taking on Callum Singleton, and we'll join it right at the start of the match. Stephen Jamieson joins myself, Simon Webb, on commentary.
It's Callum Singleton who draws the first break, however, as he gets us going. He's going to start with a dry one, bit of a grimace from Singu. Got that 8-ball in motion though, which is definitely something to watch tonight, particularly when Shaun Storry breaks as well. He's got a bit of a penchant for a golden break, which is potting the 8-ball. We'll give you the frame instantaneously in our Monday night rule. Speaking of which, if you're joining us for the first time tonight, got 4 players in action. Shaun Storry, Callum Singleton here. Cameron Tolley and Karl Boyes next up. All 4 players will play each other throughout the course of tonight. Top of the group after all 6 matches will qualify through to the second stage. And if we have 2 or more players tied on points, we will have a 6-red shootout to separate them. 20-minute matches or races to 4, whichever one comes first, 4 on the scoreboard or 0 on the clock, which does mean we can have the draw. It's a brilliant format. We've been enjoying it for a couple of years now, and especially this season's iteration of the Champions League, making it a pro-only event. The qualifiers were tough to just get into it for some of our pros. The level has been just so high, and you genuinely have no idea what's going to happen every single week. You just know you're in for a night of entertainment.
Yeah, exactly that. It's been so tough to work out what's going to happen out there, and actually we've seen some brilliant performances along the way. Players really having to dig deep early in the tournament, and that could well be Shaun here. Opening chance is not a good one. He's opened up these reds at the bottom end, but that 8-ball will take some getting on. When he first came to the table, a red over left centre would have been the ideal ball to get on the 8-ball, but he needed that to open up the problem areas at the bottom. Here is Cameron Tolley. He'll be in action in our next match. So Shaun is working hard. He wants to keep the red to right centre as his ball onto the 8-ball, but even that's not a good one. If he's landed 3/4 ball, which he looks like he has, he can just screw in behind it. This looks to be as good as he could have hoped for. The reason he was just lining up from there is if he gets into this a shade more than he wants and hits that yellow, that's what he'll be left with. But he hits it perfectly. Lovely shot.
What a visit to the table this is to get us going from Shaun Storry. This is elite stuff.
One thing with Shaun is he does like to experiment and play around with the break, and it's rare for him to come across for a cut break from the right. Normally when he cut breaks, it's from the other side of the table.
Oh, that 8-ball was straight away tracking. He knows. He knows.
The interesting thing is he was out there practicing earlier, and what he was concerned about was the break. It was, what break am I using today? I even asked him, I said, what break are you coming with today? And he said, I'll tell you in a little bit. He was going to experiment and find what works. Well, I think he has.
Yeah, he even had a little look there at Callum Singleton, who gave him absolutely no shrift whatsoever. It's just a 3-ball plan to kick us off, involving the 8-ball as well. It certainly is. Very nice. And I don't think that 8-ball has covered the middle pocket as well, which is crucial.
It shouldn't be too much of a problem, even if it is. But yeah. I'm with you. I don't think it is covered. It does. The one he played just previously on the plant still goes right centre, but might be better to play it long, depending on how he works his pattern. See there on the overhead, though, clearly goes. He'll probably take, well, he will take it now, go up the table, get rid of one at the top. Next 2 positional shots need to be played nicely. Doesn't really want to be absolutely straight. Also doesn't want to be hampered queuing. If you just, all you can really do here is play it natural, and playing it natural is taking it towards the red, where you'd rather come more towards the middle of the table. So you're going to try and dig into it. Yeah, just widened it a little bit, but still short of pace. So it's hard to get right behind this last red from here. He could screw into the yellow in the middle of the table and accept what he has. What's nice about this is the cue ball takes care of itself. You can just focus on the pot because the 8-ball's sitting, waiting. Just anything to guard against is allowing the one there at the top of the line to get in the way. Just got to avoid that. But
yeah, and generally speaking, whenever these players just have to worry about potting a ball and have no real consideration of the cue ball, they don't really miss. And all 4 of our players will have been very aware of each other, and they will know the format.
Shaun Storry won the next frame as well with a reverse clearance to make it 3-0 before Callum responded with a reverse clearance of his own. And he now has the break, 3-1 behind.
is the score.
That would have helped if that 8-ball had dropped. My goodness me, that would have helped. Had have been 3-2 in the blink of an eye. And he knew as well. And the fact that it's dry is even more painful because Shaun Storry can go and win the match.
Shaun's also fully aware of where he is in the moment. Yes, this is a clearance to win the match, but also it helps him to use the beeps every single shot, just in case. Yes, there will be time for Callum, but you don't want to gift him any more time, just in case.
We saw some fantastic clock management last week through Sean Chipperfields. Ordinarily one of the quickest shooters in the West, really, but when the time called for it, his game management, his clock management was impeccable.
And clever as well.
Very, very clever. And Shaun's cut from the same cloth in that sense. Very cerebral about how he approaches the game.
So Shaun's just over-screwed that one. It was a nice double, but he wanted to be on the one on the left-hand side, then use the one he's playing now to come down the table for the one in the middle. Going this way round isn't as easy.
Yeah, he's just looking at where he'll be. If he's dead straight, just use the bottom of the cue ball, but taking it now.
Yeah, that's the right way around for me. If he was looking at going left centre, then the one at the top to screw back for the 8-ball. That's what he was looking at to see whether he could get an angle just to screw straight back down. But he had the natural to connect to this one long, and then it just comes down to your potting and hitting a reasonable sized gap. In fact, didn't try and hit the gap, just hold it high, guarantee it. Very impressive, this.
Yeah, what a fantastic standard. Brilliant stuff from Shaun Storry, and it has to be said, Callum Singleton for the time that he was at the table.
On to our second match of the night. Karl Boyes taking on Tolley, and we're going to join this one right at the start of the match.
Looking forward to seeing how he gets on. It's Tolley who has the first break, though. And that is a very, very good one. Although he's got some work to do in his first visit to the table. Actually strikes this cut break beautifully. A couple of balls down. 8-ball in motion, which is always just nice. just to know you've got that potential in the locker, but this is an awkward looking split.
Really awkward. Tell you what, we're going to see some golden breaks tonight. 3 of the players are cut breaking. Tell you, Karl Boyes will not cut break.
Yeah, he's from that school of the anti-cut break, shall we say.
Well, the tough finish that Shaun Storry took out in the opening frame of the first match really set the tone, and looking on the positive side, Cameron has the opportunity to do that here, and that was a lovely first shot. He's got a perfect angle on this one to the bottom left to open up the one on the left-hand side, and then everything will have a pocket if this shot goes well. Should be guaranteed a pot to the top right-hand corner here, worst way. And he is. Does he have one to the right centre as well? I don't think so. So next shot's a big one.
Yeah, this is almost a bit of an acid test for Cam Tolley here.
It's not just the pot as well. The natural takes him up the table. I don't think he can get into it enough to come low on the middle pocket, so that means he has to go into the top half of the table and hit a gap. Or use the jaw. How about that?
He's actually has he been all right? Can he get to the potting angle, the one to the bottom right? I think he's fine.
I'm not sure. It's tight. This is as played, by the way. If he misses the jaw, he's on nothing. That's exactly what he tried to do. I don't think he's on the one he wants to be, though. He does have a pot on, but it's awkward.
Yeah, he'd love to be a roll further on. And
yeah.
He's on the one to the bottom left and absolutely in cruise control.
Or a roll less would have been perfect as well.
So he's digging deep. Here's Cam Tolley. He is digging deep. This next shot is enormous. But there's a route out here.
Yeah, he doesn't have to get too funky with the cue ball here for me. You can just roll this in, bump into the 8-ball. The angle on the left-hand side is perfect to get on the one at the bottom, and the 8-ball in the middle of the table will work.
Plenty of angle. He will think that's too much. This is thin.
He would have loved 2 more rolls across the table just to make it a little bit easier, but it's still on this.
Oh, he's overcut it, would you believe it? It was thin. Cam Tolley fractions away from an incredibly impressive opening visit.
Amazing how often you overcut a shot like that. You think it's as thin as you can hit it, and actually it isn't. Hasn't left Karl a wide open counter clearance. He's got to work the cue ball well here.
It's just the 2 balls on rails, isn't it, that you've just got to be aware of. And of course, the yellow to the bottom left isn't completely routine.
No, and normally you'd be talking about the loss of turn shot and hiding the white, but there's nowhere to hide the white.
Yeah, 8-ball in the middle of the table. Yellow's all close to rails. There's no hiding places.
If he takes this on, he's going to need to make both, or he's going to be leaving a shot on. This is huge. Make a case for just laying the snooker off the one he's nearest to.
Yeah, red isn't perfectly in the middle of the pocket either. That was missable, and so it proved.
Yeah, he could have
No foul, by the way. He's absolutely fine there. Cam comes to the table with just this to go at. It's just a loss of turn for Karl Boyes, but he was absolutely playing to make both.
I quite like the snooker there. I know that's easy to say in hindsight, but he could have just feathered off the one on the right-hand side, welded the cue ball to the sort of behind it and next to the cushion, and he would have got a better chance next time out.
Bang! Cam Tolley crunches in the 8-ball.
The next 2 frames were shared. Karl Boyes now has the break at 2-1 behind.
I mean, how's that dry? Beats me.
He doesn't often go straight down the middle, does Karl. When he returned to the sport, he was hand on the table, more from the, well, either side really, with huge success. And I think the more that he sort of getting back into it and cueing. I think he's now starting to go back with hand on the cushion and bridging that way because he feels like he's cueing better, but it means he can generate more power, but doesn't always turn out in more results, because this is a really good chance for Cameron to go 3-1 up.
Yeah, great chance this, and well, beware the underdog. Telling me a great story earlier on this afternoon was Cam. Was telling me all about his retirement, as it was, from the game, and one of his first matches back was actually against his grandson Brooklyn, who didn't actually realise that his pops used to play at any level whatsoever, and when Cam picked up the cue and dusted him off the table, his grandson was rather taken aback, and then came the showcase of all the old England international waistcoats and all the rest of it. Oh yeah, by the way.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a story. That wasn't the best couple of shots from Cameron, and that's what's led him in the trouble here. Never really wanted to leave the one over right centre last ball, and just never had a good route from about halfway through this visit. Big moments in the match.
On a 15-second shot clock, you've not got a huge amount of time to line up your angles. Huge moment in the match.
Could well be a huge moment in the night, because 3-1 with only a couple of minutes left would have been a huge place to be for Cameron. And now it's highly likely to be 2-2. What Cameron needs to do here is remind himself he gets the next break, and he's broke really well in the opening 2 frames, and this match may well come down to one more chance for whoever gets it off the next break. When playing the one right of the two together, he needs to know whether the cue ball's missing the other red or not. The fact that he's played it this way tells us he believes it is missing that red. So if it is missing it, it's no problem at all. Yeah, comfortably.
Yeah, tidy enough. Tidy enough. So for 2-2, less than 2 to go. It's game on. The break remains faithful. He's hammering that cut break.
Yeah, and this is a decent split. If he goes yellows, there's one bad yellow on the table, the one nearest the 8 ball. I think reds might be the layout here at first glance.
And you do only get a first glance on a 15-second shot clock.
Well, he's going yellows, so it's all about the one nearest the 8 ball for me. And it's still all about the one nearest the 8 ball. I think he was trying to move it there. Moving it is dangerous. I know the red nearest the 8 ball as well may have been tricky, but it just looked easier to solve than the yellow. But 15 seconds a shot, you just have to go with what you see. And good news, bad news. Develop the yellow, not the 8 ball, but if he can play the yellow off the 8 ball, that might help. I'm not sure if he can hit it firm enough to really help with that shot. Yeah, I think it's one of those that you can play it in off the 8 ball, but if you play it firm, it throws too wide. Well, we've been deceived by the camera plenty of times, but is there enough of that 8 ball showing to be able to pot it? Mind you, all that attention on everything else, the clock has got away from him. We're in the final 9 seconds.
It certainly has. Well, If you can't win it, don't lose it. And Cameron Tolley has achieved that. It will be a draw at the end of it all. It finishes at 2 frames apiece.
Karl Boyes will stay out in the arena to play Callum Singleton, who lost his opening match. And it was Callum that won the first 2 frames. Karl responded by winning the next 2 and has the break in the 5th.
Yeah, you can see by the picture on that graphic, he's forgotten how to celebrate. It's been that long, but he's going all right at the moment, is the ringer. Karl Boyes lost the cue ball. We talked about on his last break how good it usually is. And, I mean, he has been unlucky. But he'll be honest enough to know that he didn't quite get that one perfect.
Yeah, it is unlucky to go in the right centre, but he was dangerously close to the top left-hand corner. And a beautiful opening positional shot from Callum. That felt like the only shot that could really go wrong for him. Now he just maps his finish out. I think he's considering taking the one top right-hand corner straight away. He's pretty straight on it. If he was to take it now, it'd all be really simple. That is the one ball that could get awkward. Will he get better on it? Certainly make a case for taking it now. Yeah, I like that choice a lot. Get that one out the way. Makes life a lot easier from here. Another roll or 2 up the table would have made life just a fraction easier, but I think he's just about got enough to be able to kill the cue ball here. It's only dropping it in. Yeah, any more angle there and he could have got into trouble, but very nice.
It's been clinical Callum tonight. It's well judged. Didn't want to be hampered by this red, and as a lefty, he had a little bit less margin for error than most. This for 3-2. Never in doubt, heart the pocket for Callum Singleton.
With the cut break. Same result.
Yeah, how long he stays with it is up for debate, I'd imagine, in that final game.
There was almost an air of frustration when he came to the table there. He hit that really kind of quick. He didn't cue that one as long as normal.
So Karl Boyes with the chance to make it 3 apiece. That's not the best first shot.
Yeah, it's quite a poor first shot for a player of Karl's level. He's caused himself no end of problems here. In one shot, he's put
immediately as well. You heard the whistle round the table there.
Put 3 yellows safe in one shot. And he's gifted a chance to Callum.
Yeah, with a fraction more on that, that'd have actually been quite a canny little shot. He was hoping for the yellow just to get in the way of the red. Didn't want it to actually sit in the pocket, as it's no real use to him there. Just get in the way, and he'd have been in a bit more control of the frame. But reds all go here. And Callum, remember, has yet to make an error tonight. He'll fancy these to win the match.
It's a tough layout. It really is a tough layout. He wants to just get as deep as he possibly can to stop the counter clearance. I'm not sure if he can run the clock down enough to do that. Probably just about. Oh,
foul.
Wow. Oh, wow. First mistake on the night for him, and it's a huge one. I'm not sure that Karl realises it's a foul, because he's got cue ball in hand and he's not. Yeah, he's going to play from where it was, I think. Maybe we missed that on the replay. Anyway, it wouldn't have changed anything because he'd probably put it roughly where it was anyway.
Yeah, it was called by referee Orich Tesgall, and I think you're right. It doesn't make any difference to Karl Boyes particularly.
And it's interesting, Karl is going through this as quick as he can because he wants to have a chance off his break next. I'm not sure he can quite leave himself long enough.
He'll have a shout. Just needs to take a little bit of consideration over these next couple of shots.
Yeah, that was a poor one, that last one. Needed another couple of rolls further back. Now not guaranteed to get nicely on the 8-ball. May have to just accept the double.
Yeah, he's still got a frame to win. Consideration of the shot clock as a match clock has sort of gone out the window. Needs to now just make sure of this one. So it will be the double. Well, well, well. Karl Boyes concedes. Match over. Callum Singleton has got a win to his name.
Shaun Storry takes on Cameron Tolley in the 4th match, and he has the break in the opening frame.
Crunching that cut break once more. Really does have one of the best cut breaks around, the Shaun Storry. So reliable.
And he hits it harder than most. He can hit his cut break on almost full pelt. Whereas a lot of other people, if you go to the club and try and hit the cut break as hard as you can, you're going to jump the cue ball right off the table. Tricky opening ball, this one. Deserve better for the quality of that break.
Played it well. It's not ideal with this cue ball, but beggars can't be choosers in that sense.
Yeah, he's got a little bit more angle on this red than he wanted, but actually I don't think he'll mind it because at least it's gone past the 8-ball. So the 8-ball's not making it hampered cueing. He can kind of manipulate it with spin as he wants. Played that last one so nicely. He's actually got a choice of a few here. He can pick his route, how he wants to go about these 3 on the right-hand side, which are the tricky 3. Just work your order out. Well, he played the cannon into the yellow to be on the one to the bottom left-hand corner, which he is. But the yellow's now in the way of that red top right. It does go other pockets, so he's almost having to reassess after playing it, so that the pattern evolves.
Good to see Jake McCartney back with us. Recently flown in from Oz.
Paul Clack there as well, the two Ultimate Pool Pro Aussies.
The adopted Stokey is back in Staffordshire. Jake McCartney will be in action this weekend in the Pro Series. And Shaun has just run into a little bit of bother.
Yeah, I don't think the red on the right goes into the right centre, which is tricky. And as I already said, he blocked it to the top right-hand corner. So as easy as it looked, because it has options, it actually became a tricky ball. And this is not a good angle on the one to the left centre to land on it in any way. Really tricky here. Needs it to pull up. Oh, just about. Well played.
Job done just from Shaun Storry. Cameron Tolley's break was flying in his match against Karl Boyes. I've not put the curse on him, have I? I think so. His only sort of saving grace. So I think this split's a little bit horrible. Shaun has an opening yellow to go at, which is nice enough, but the yellow you can see there on the left side rail, shepherded by 3 reds, is a real pain in the backside for him.
Yeah, he may well be working harder for this one than any of the others if he wants to go here.
He may not, but Shaun has been very attacking tonight, so he's taken his extension. I think he fancies the finish.
Well, he could play the one to top right and get an angle on the one to the top left to screw down into the problem area. It's just whether he can open it up in that shot or not.
Yellow ball's in play.
I think he's going to play safe. He's just taken his colour set and said, yeah, let's get to work. Worst thing you can do sometimes is chase a bad finish. Well worked out from Shaun, that.
It's a pretty good safety as well. Don't think this is the easiest hit for Cam here.
Yeah, need to dig this one and get plenty of side on. If he misses the first red, he'll hit one of the others.
Oh no. Wow, that's so tough. That's so tough for Cam Tolley. I mean, you could do that 1,000 times, that shot, and not put the 8 ball there. Even Shaun looks sorry for him.
I bet he isn't inside though.
Oh, that's a brutal, brutal bit of luck for Cam Tolley.
Yeah, I think Cam maybe could have gone on that previous visit. He'll be disappointed because he has had one really good chance to go in this frame and he didn't take it.
The issue is he's freed up this yellow for Shaun Storry. And he almost knows he doesn't have to make it.
And that makes the red at the top even worse, because if there was a shot to play red off the yellow to open up that pocket, that does not exist anymore. Cam's gone from being in a tactical advantage in this frame for me to being behind, even though he's the one at the table.
Yeah, and this is Shaun Storry being very, very clever indeed. This frame started way out from 10 minutes. He's chewed up about 5 minutes off the match clock, still 2-0 in front, and now as well, for good measure, has the tactical advantage.
Does that red slide by the 8 ball to the opposite corner? Top right rather than top left. Bottom right when we look from the overhead.
I wonder if he's
tight.
convinced himself it does.
Yeah, he's got a good angle to get on it. Yeah, he's just had a little glance at it there. Anywhere near the break line, just above, would be perfect here. On the left-hand cushion. No, playing into it. Brilliant.
Oh, what a shot that is. What a shot that is. And he's even got an angle to come back onto the 8 ball. Stunner from Cam Tolley.
Yeah, that was low percentage, just very, very low percentage.
But then he misses the pot. He did all the hard work, but then misses the pot. And that was an infinitely more gettable shot than his previous. I think just digging into the cue ball just made it have that little bit of an air of jeopardy about the shot, but I mean, he will know that was really gettable.
If he lands straight on the one to the right centre off this, it's just drop in all the way through to the 8 ball.
Well, in the end, it will go down as a very well managed frame by Shaun Storry, but it just shows the dangers of playing that game with top players is sometimes they will just ignore all the great tactical play you've done and just find a way out of it. Tolley, though, couldn't make it stick. Shaun Storry will get over the line in frame 3. And 3.5 to play. He's going to go 3-0 in front. Well, if Shaun Storry goes through tonight, he may well reflect on that frame.
And 3-0 is where it would end as the clock ran out in the next frame. Callum Singleton will take on the eliminated Cameron Tolley in our next match. Callum needs to win to put a pressure onto Shaun Storry.
To the final couple of matches of the night. And Callum Singleton's break has decided to show up. He's got rid of that cut break. And at first glance, that seems to be a pretty good decision. So this is the lay of the land, as I mentioned. Callum Singleton can still qualify. Cameron Tolley and Karl Boyes are now out. Shaun Storry on 4 points holds the aces, and a draw or a win in his final match against Karl Boyes will be enough to qualify him through. But if Callum Singleton wins this match and Karl Boyes beats Shaun Storry, it will be Callum Singleton who finds himself on 2 wins. And we've got a rather interesting finish. So still to play for Callum. He's got to keep his positivity up. Still in the night, and we know what he can do if there's a 6-red shootout.
He'll be over the moon to get it to a 6-red shootout. And the way things have gone here, he is playing really, really well. It's just getting those chances, but the change of break, going to the front ball, has certainly given him a good chance here, and he's made no mistakes running through it.
He has run through it. Sailed through that, did Callum Singleton.
The next 2 frames were shared with break clearances. We joined the 4th frame midway through after a tactical exchange.
Braver man than me playing into that middle pocket like that with that pace.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's actually landed nicely now. You can take the one to the bottom right and just get the cue ball. There you go, he's going to let us know. Onto the yellow into the left centre with an angle to go into your last ball. But as always, playing into your last ball and needing to land on it is never ideal. Oh, he's left it a little bit straight as well. He needed a good few inches further to the left here just to make it more angle. You can go into it with more pace. He can probably just about force it across, but you have to hit this one really hard now. Yeah, hard to get that angle. It's so much easier. The further left he went on that previous shot, then it's just manipulating it with where you're going to hit it off the top cushion. So you play it so much easier than the one he's just tried to play.
And a foul to boot.
Didn't reach the cushion.
So similar to the last match, big time tactical battle, and Tolley gets an opportunity but has to chase an opportunity. Can't quite win it out, and it will be his opponent who instead gets a simple finish.
Wasn't the best shot that Callum's ever played. Just means he can't get too nice on the 8 ball.
Job done though for Singu. He's absolutely flying and will be a big, big danger in that group. But very, very competitive group. Oh, golden break, what a way to win it. Callum Singleton gets it done. 4-1 victory. Over to you, Shaun Storry. Well, Callum Singleton's break has been quite the story this evening. Couldn't make a ball on the cut break. And the advantage of the cut break, get the 8-ball moving. Nonsense.
In our final match of the night, Shaun Storry just needs to avoid defeat to Karl Boyes, who is already eliminated from the competition.
Callum's a Boise fan right now, and that's because Callum Singleton can still qualify. Just if Karl Boyes wins this match, it's a shootout time. And it'll be Shaun and Callum to throw down in that. Great break from Karl Boyes in terms of the split. Terrible break in terms of the cue ball. So it'll be first opportunity to Shaun Storry.
I was about to say, not too bad having, if you're going to have to cheer somebody on for your tournament life, Karl Boyes would be pretty high on your list, but that's not the start that Callum Singleton wanted to see.
Done precious little wrong tonight as Callum Singleton. The match he lost, he didn't really make a mistake. It was against Shaun Storry, if you remember, 4-1 at the start of the night.
Yeah,
5 visits to the table.
Yeah, 3 dry breaks in that match, and all 3 of them he hit really well. All 3 of them reverse cleared by Shaun. That's not the best shot he's ever played, though. That's a little bit short.
Can still recover it. We'll go up to the top of the table, I think.
Yeah, actually, in review of the table and the layout, maybe he was just putting the cue ball where it is because he wants to come down the table off this one. Just thought the way he was playing it, he was trying to get on the one in the middle, but actually, I think that's exactly where he wanted it to be. Because of where the 8-ball is, you were never going to leave the one at the top as your last ball.
Another clinical Shaun Storry clearance.
The next 2 frames were shared. Shaun now has the break, 2-1 ahead.
Wow, we're about to see a twist. Oh, we're about to see a twist. Dry break from Shaun Storry, only his 2nd of the night.
For me, he actually hit this one better than the previous break in this match where he made the break clearance. Nothing drops. And these have come out okay. Just okay. Red and yellow together at the bottom of the table are awkward. And especially for yellows, are awkward to solve.
Yellow balls in play.
Could go into it now. Has he got just enough angle off the one into the right centre pocket? Yeah, he's got plenty. Love to hit the gap. Caught it full ball, which means he wasn't guaranteed. If he catches the gap, he's got much more chance of being on something.
He's a little bit unlucky, though, to win there. Anywhere in sort of open table, you'll have something to go at, but he's got absolutely nothing here. Well, hold on to your hats.
He's got an okay safety shot available to him. Just bump off the yellow he's nearest to and try and put the cue ball back exactly where it is now. It's a fairly comfortable shot for a player of Karl's level.
He wasn't looking at that. I think he was actually... I'll have a look at this again. I think the way he was lining up that yellow in the middle of the table, do you think he was looking at the plant there?
No, I think he had a look at it, but I think it went clean, so there's no need.
It just seemed to go very close to that yellow and still jawed. Wonder how tight it was, but either way, guess we'll never know. Shaun Storry, big chance, big moment in the match this, big moment in the evening.
Yeah, really good chance this. 8-ball in a tricky position, but if he can keep red over right centre last ball, he can just drop it in and leave 8-ball top left. And that's nice. Drop this into the top left now and just want the angle to be able to drift down the table, and you should be able to leave that one over right centre comfortably enough.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a huge miss.
That's massive. That is.
Did not see that coming.
And Shaun knows it. In his mind, he's thinking, if I get out here, I'm through. Did not see that miss coming at all.
Well, that's almost, in some ways, as bad a shot from Karl Boyes. Not to be on that yellow at the bottom of the table. He's got a recovery. And it's well recovered. The cue ball might be doing some mileage in the course of this visit. How big a moment could that be for Shaun Storry? How big a moment could that be, maybe, for Callum Singleton? Karl Boyes has the next break. He may have the chance to go ahead with said break. And with less than 3.5 minutes to go, the night that was going so well for Shaun Storry, is it just starting to slip away? Well, it's all to play for now. Oh, he hit those terribly. The cue ball was absolutely zinging around the table there. Very uncharacteristic of a Karl Boyes break there. The power was all there, I mean, make no mistake. Terribly is a little bit of a relative term there. He's still got absolutely loads of power through the pack. I mean, just look at the state of the table, but cue ball came off the pack almost quicker than it went into it, and was skewing towards that corner pocket. It's the opportunity that Shaun Storry didn't dare hope for, but now he's got.
It's tricky. The two yellows right at the top of the table are tricky.
I don't think anyone has given us more dramatic last gasp moments on this table than Shaun Storry over the last 3 years. And he might be up to his old tricks again.
Yeah, he's just looking there. I don't think the yellow nearest the 8 ball passes the other yellow. I think he has to play the plant. If it does pass, then where I said it was tricky, it's not that tricky. It was just a case of getting to this area of the table.
Well, now we're about to find out. No way for us to know. You've got to be right behind this one to see it. It is the plant, and it's missed. 148 for Karl Boyes to force us into a 6-red shootout.
The only good news for him was he knew he wasn't leaving a good table for Karl playing that plant.
This must be agony for Callum Singleton right now. Oh, he didn't quite get the contact he needed. Tried to play that off the yellow. Shaun Storry's going to tie things up here, I think. No reason for him to go here.
This is a case of clock management, isn't it? Just pot a couple of balls as long as you can. I was thinking he maybe would have tried to get on the one at the top there and pot 3 balls, and then that would run the clock down enough.
Well, he's got one more pot, 2 more shots. Is it just about enough time? It may well be.
He's going to be asking a lot of Karl. If he can make this pot here and then use another 15 seconds, it is enough. This is for me, is match ball.
And down it goes.
Because you stick 15 on that, it's job done.
It is indeed. Shaun Storry has just about done enough. Karl knows he's got to have a go, just for Callum's sake, more than anything else, but he's not going to have the time. Not to be for Karl, not to be for Callum Singleton, and it is to be for Shaun Storry.
A brilliant performance from Shaun Storry to make it through a very challenging group, and he moves on to the second stage of the competition. And we'll move on to Group 12, where Jason Waters, John Rowe, Tom Cousins, the man of the moment, and Josh Kane will do battle for a place in the second stage of the Champions League.